Hello and welcome to the third issue of PADZ Quarterly. A lot has happened since the last issue. We got the Hatsune Miku Super Galfest, Bartenders, Pad Academy, RS, My Hero Academia, AJ, Slime, and the Dengeki Bunko collab just ended. Each event introduced units that have stuck around in the meta, some more than others, which isn't atypical for a game such as this, but with so many strong leaders coming out, one might feel pressure to chase every single one, and that's an extremely expensive pursuit. In this video, I'll try to quickly go over all the events to come with all the info we have from JP so far. Hopefully this video will help you plan ahead, and if there's an important detail I missed, please let me know. One pretty important detail for most PADZ players is the amount of stones given out each month. I tried to give an estimate on my last video, but since it's not that accurate, I just decided not to do it this time. Instead, I'll just talk about some notable stone related news. We are getting an infusion of 100 total stones from the Midsummer Magic event, which I believe is the 62 million download event from JP. I thought the introduction of stamps was going to make login stamp rewards more consistent in between servers, so I don't know why we're not getting the exact same 62 million download stamps. I guess NA couldn't come up with a reason to hand out 62 stones for each stamp sheet. Another good source of stones is the $5 for 50 stones bundle, which seems to be showing up once every month in JP. I'm assuming these are selling like hotcakes since they keep releasing it without any special reason. Golden Week and 62 million download celebrations as reason for these bundles I get, but now they release it 2 more times just for summer. Not that I'm complaining, as these are really good deals, but if you felt some sort of pressure to get them because you thought these were rare sales, then maybe you can relax, because it seems like a monthly thing now. The Pride Ram event has arrived and I was a bit too busy to do a full review, but thankfully, barely anything here is noteworthy. The main highlights are Natsuru and Miria, Uzui, and Haku. The first 2 units pair decently well as water BDP leaders, but you ideally have to have at least 1 Rimuru and 1 Rimuru and Beldora to draw this team's full power. Natsuru and Miria are a 2-unit system that generate orbs, tackle some debuffs, and void damage and attribute absorption. You most commonly swap her in on a 7x6 board and run 2 in a team, but there are some teams that only use 1 copy. Uzui is a cleric with a great mix of damage and utility, and she is often used as a helper so that a sub Rimuru breaks her damage cap since she herself doesn't do that. The main building blocks of a Natsuru and Uzui team are pretty much a fully functional Rimuru team, so to only get a marginal benefit at best, you'll have to spend stones or money in this lackluster RAM. These teams can clear SN3, but honestly SN3 looks like a cakewalk in comparison to SN2, and a lot of different leaders look capable of clearing. Haku is a badge unit, and I don't really see the point of chasing or buying her, as she herself has less practical uses as a unit. Dark Ori has top tier leaders like Accelerator and Milim, and Haku honestly doesn't do much there. I only find her first equip appealing since it's a 7 effective skill boost equip with the Dark sub attribute. It could come in handy on units like Kohaku so that she can more easily be included in Accelerator or other Dark teams. Other less noteworthy units are Norsa and Zilla. Norsa's Evo form is decent on Rimuru teams as a board expander, and her first equip is great on Rimuru himself. Zilla has 2 delay equips with 2 skill boosts and a super full awakening, so they're very useful to delete half of an enemy's shield. I would skip this rem as nothing here is all that useful, because even if you have a Rimuru team, you can do without the bright units and clear all the current endgame content. I would maybe do 1 exchange at most for either Natsuru or Haku if you have any concrete plans for them. You could buy Haku, Uzui, and Norsa, but again, they'll probably only be a side grade at best, and $20 to $30 is a lot for these units. We should be seeing the Ultraman collab return. I don't think anything really stood out from this rerun. There's only 1 meta team to come out of this collab. Ultraman Arc is on the top leader tier list, but his teams will pretty much be on hold until Suzaku from Geass arrives in NA, if that even happens. This team can work without Suzaku, but you'll be required to pull a lot in Ultraman to build a strong Arc team. This T-centric team uses 1 Suzaku who is a BGM, 2 Ultraman Arcs who are orb skins, and 2 Ultraman Nexus who are mid rarities. As I said, pretty expensive, and it also doesn't sound all that flexible. Personally, I'll be skipping the Ultraman RAM altogether. Just like with Bride, I feel like Ultraman is an easy skip for most. I'll be doing a more detailed review in the future, so make sure to subscribe if you haven't. After the Ultraman rerun, we should be seeing some buffs to some familiar faces. Their final transformation active skill gives them a 30-turn damage cap increase to 7 billion, but these are easy to disrupt with buff voids and damage cap debuffs from enemies. If you're an avid aggregate player, you probably experience this in some endgame dungeons and level 15s as well. I probably won't use them anytime soon. 2 transformations are pretty annoying, but maybe you have some ideas of your own. Soon after, we should be seeing a new set of 5 challenge dungeons, with one of them being a level EX. These are pretty much tweaked versions of MD dungeons. I don't think we should be having too much trouble with them as we did with the Golden Week challenges, since we have been getting every major collab so far, and it seems Gung-Ho scaled down the difficulty on these. Check the description for some team ideas for these challenges. The next big collab on the horizon is called Geass. Unfortunately for us, this is a new IP, so there's no way to know for sure if we'll be able to get it. Hopefully we do, because there are new meta leads and a lot of support for other leaders. The big highlight is Gino. He's so broken that one of the tier lists felt obligated to create a new SSS tier list just for him. He's a mid-rarity card, and as usual for these, he's not exchangeable, so if you have any interest in him or other Code Geass units, save your stones. That probably won't be that difficult for most of us, since Bright and Ultraman look pretty underwhelming. It's been a long time since the Gung-Ho Collab / rerun, and it'll stay that way. Instead, we should be seeing a Super Gadfest featuring 6 Gung-Ho Collab units, 4 of which you can purchase. Bulk and Lucy is a copy and replacement for Kohaku. She doesn't have as much bulk, and 410C plus at most is not meaningful damage. At least she has 3 full resists and a possible double L. Crusader's post-transformation active skill now also tackles damage absorption, and she now has a good damage multiplier, but she can't take advantage of this because she doesn't have a damage cap break. Assassin and Wizard do break their damage cap, but Wizard doesn't do much damage to begin with. Alchemist is now a 2-turn Pierce unit with the 5.2 effective HP leader skill, but she doesn't have that much personal damage. Base Marius now voids combo shields, and his Evo now pierces, and both forms have high damage multipliers in Moon dungeons. None of these buffs really catch my eye. They are strong units, but after the last few events, and especially if we get Code Geass, I feel like there isn't as much of an upside in pulling here. The next endgame dungeon will be SN3, which is a Sun dungeon, and seems to be easier than SN2 since I've seen a bunch of clears with various non-meta leads. This dungeon boosts stats to healers, so units like Kohaku will get even more insane stats, and this also means that you can use equips that add healer type to any non-healer to get boosted stats. These are some equips that I've seen showing up a lot in clears. One major point to note from SN3 is that there are a couple of huge hits throughout the dungeon, so a lot of teams are choosing to include units with shields that at least half damage, or run a combination of looping shields and HP buffing effects. Some teams also run delays, since the first hit is on floor 2 and the enemies there have no status shields. In addition, a team should have countermeasures for the boss, since it's not delayable and hits you for almost 8 million damage. Here's a few NA friendly teams without Code Geass that can clear the dungeon. Maybe there are some JP exclusive equips here, but these might not be too difficult to replace. Obviously, if we do get Code Geass, we can run the most broken unit in the game right now, Gino, who I think is also the leader of choice for SN3 speedruns. Gino is so broken that you could run this free-to-play team full of non-damage dealers to clear the SN3 title. Here are other NA-friendly teams, assuming we do get Code Geass. Obviously, the most noteworthy team here is the Misaka team that pretty much swipes the dungeon. It hurts seeing the Marvel collab rerun this often in JP, because I am almost certain we won't be getting a rerun, even though a reskin version uses Gung-Ho IP. The focus for this rerun was buffing existing units. Only 2 new units were added, and 2 duo units got a new equip evolution. The new Thor's duo unit introduces the first levitate equip with the sub-attribute Change Awakening, so it's pretty disappointing. We'll most likely be missing out on this. The Gundam reskin Alternate Journey was weird in the sense that we only got new Gundam units, plus any older units who got new Evos. Maybe if we get Gung-Ho another story rerun, there's a chance we get the new duos, plus the ones from the last run that got new equips. That would mean that we miss out on Gambit, Scarlet Witch, and Ant-Man. But one notable equip that I've seen used a lot ever since its debut is Wolverine and Magnetos, and this would finally mean that NA has access to it. I might be coping too hard, so I'll just assume Gung-Ho won't rerun this collab. Hopefully they prove me wrong. As I've mentioned in other videos, these units come with 5.26 effective HP leader skills that don't give you a raw HP multiplier. Both are strong as leaders, subs, and equips. Selkia is basically a better Kohaku, since they are a cleric that gives an HP buff and could also help recover SS. On top of that, Selkia is a great damage dealer as well, especially in some dungeons like SN3. Arc Bursa is the first 1 cooldown Dark Orb spawner, which makes him great for dark teams to ensure you have enough orbs for multiple combos or a dark PvP. It might come very handy to fix unreliable boards like from Lelouch active skill that can give you fewer than 6 dark orbs, leaving you unable to activate your leader skill's damage reduction. Eventually, Silkia and Arc Bursa's active skill also handle board shrinks. You just have to sit through a couple of Evo skills, but since their cooldowns are very short, you'll probably reach the final active skill stage early in the dungeon. Amazingly, Silkia already got buffed. Most notably, their Evo active skill got a 1-turn cooldown reduction across the board. Silkia and 9 other units got buffed for being pulled on the last JP stream. And speaking of which, here are some other details that get announced or teased. The base move time will increase from 5 seconds to 6 seconds. Killer Awakenings increase a unit's damage cap to 2x instead of 1.2. The 7C Awakening and its condensed version now got buffed to do more damage at 14 combos or more. A new mechanic was teased, Dismemberment. From the example shown, it seems that you can target some enemy parts and destroy them. If they drop, they then can be exchanged. I assume for the unit itself, similar to the SN bosses. Along with this, there's a new Awakening, Part Destruction bonus, which increases the drop rate for dismembered parts by 10%. A Monster Hunter Rerun was announced, and Gonho shared some new art for some of the new units. And again, the 10 units pulled from the PADZ Super Gadfest got some buffs. Apart from Silkia's buffs, nothing else stood out too much from the other 9 units. People were disappointed that Nova only got a Corp as a Sync Awakening. Red Aiden is now a 1-turn Rainbow Board Maker that unlocks, but if Gino is in the picture, this probably won't matter that much. If you have a Celti and Accelerator team, then you'll like a Shimali's buff. That gives you +2 combos for 99 turns on a really short cooldown. With this buff, it's really easy to build this fast and stable SN3 farming team, capable of clearing in less than 11 minutes. Alright, Gonho has released more news on the day I was gonna upload this video. There are still more Monster Hunter details yet to come, but I'll just work with what they released this morning that wasn't shared on stream. One of the 2 new Monster Hunter units teased is a 5.26 effective HP leader. I'm assuming it's a BGM so that I can check it off my bingo card. The achievements are getting a revamp, and will now give a total of 371 stones. 6-slot latents will raise a limit broken unit's damage cap, either to 1.5 or 1.8, depending on which one. The 3x latent is changed to 4x, but I'm not sure who cares about this latent right now, since there aren't that many units that can use it, since it only applies to units without a main attribute. Gonho is touring 5 more cities, so that means 5 more streams every week. Unfortunately, I don't think they'll be releasing any more new info, as on the last stream, they only focus on tournament stuff. If they do share more game info in these next 5 streams, they'll probably just expand on Monster Hunter or the Dismemberment mechanic. Hopefully they do announce more stuff, like more future collabs like they did on the JP anniversary stream where they announced My Hero Academia, Bartenders, and Slime, but I highly doubt it. I know Monster Hunter is very popular, but I was hoping for a JJK rerun. Even though new collabs are exciting, I hope they announce reruns from IP that has made it to NA, since those have a good chance of rerunning here. I guess Monster Hunter qualifies there. Prince of Tennis may have a rerun soon, since there's a new anime season premiering in the fall. Another big anime with a new season is ReZero, but that's a new IP and might not make it to NA. Blue Lock and Bleach are also returning in the fall, but they have their own gacha games, so I don't know if they'd have path collabs. Another thing to remember is that Halloween is 2 months away, and this seasonal usually occurs only 1 week after the JP release, so we won't have that much of a heads up. As a rule of thumb, seasonals are usually pretty underwhelming, but we all know how great H5's Equip has been this past year. Who knows what will happen, but one thing I'm almost certain is that there'll be at least 2 new exchanges in Halloween, one for a badge unit and one for a high rarity unit like we've seen with Bright and we'll see for PADZ Island. And speaking of PADZ Island, this event is currently ongoing in JP. This event is full of healer type units, so most are poised to do well in SN3, but that doesn't matter much because again, SN3 looks doable without relying on having multiple healer units. Pastel is a 5.2 effective HP leader that has a really high damage multiplier. She has a similar playstyle to Accelerator in the sense that you can match teeth to do enough damage for most encounters, and you only have to match boxes when piercing is necessary. Since this is a seasonal event, we'll probably see this arrive in NA in 1 month instead of 2, so maybe we can expect this event mid-September after Ultraman ends and before Code Geass starts, give or take. To recap, it sounds like a really packed month if we get Code Geass. It's probably hard to budget and plan ahead for these events to come. I would prioritize Code Geass for a chance of Gino and other strong leaders and subs like Suzaku, Kallen, and Lelouch. Then I would probably try my luck with Silkia and Arc Bursa, but these might come back relatively soon in another Super Gadfest. PADZ Island and Ultraman are low priority in my opinion, but these could have some value if you never rolled before. PADZ Island has Orihime and Hikoboshi, who are a 3-unit system that's exchangeable, so you could roll for fodder if this team looks interesting to you. Pastel, who is a North skin unit, is a strong leader, but the team seems to usually include at least one Arc or Suzaku, who are BGM units from Ultraman and Code Geass respectively. Marble, I wouldn't even count on NA getting it, and even if it does arrive, it's probably a safe skip too. So this is probably all that might come to NA in the next 2 months. Let me know if I missed something important in the comments below. Oh, and sorry, I actually didn't make a video for the last quarter. I was working on it back in early July, but then we got a surprising Gundam collab reskin, followed by Slime, so I got pretty busy making those videos instead. Hopefully I can put out a Q4 video for the end of the year. Maybe I'll try to do some sort of year-end review. I'll have to figure out what to do other than list off whatever collabs happened or didn't make it to NA. If you have any ideas, let me know. Oh, it's also been a year since I uploaded my first video to this channel, so I'd like to thank everyone for the subs, likes, and comments. Alright, that does it for this video. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.